All right. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully, you guys are all doing good. Happy Friday, Junior. Welcome, everyone, to Unlocking Your Photos, building a custom image classifier created with CreateML. We are here today with Chanel Power, a software engineer at Apple, and we're so excited to have you all here today with us. My name is Adrienne Guy. I am the co founder of Creator Fest, and I'll be your technical support for this session. Before we get started, I just want to make sure everyone is set up to have the best experience possible. So if you have any questions or run into any issues during the session, feel free to reach out to me directly in the chat. I'll be here to help you the entire time. And a few other quick notes, you'll see a Q&A feature in that same toolbar in the chat. It's 2 tabs over. Feel free to use that to submit any questions you have for our speaker today. Also, if you'd like to share your reactions or your thoughts, you can use the chat. I already see you to engage, to share GIFs, to share emojis and reactions in the bottom right corner. Let's keep this interactive and fun. And I am so excited to introduce you to our amazing speaker for today's workshop, Chanel Power. Let's give her a round of applause.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. It is such an honor, and I'm hopefully going to be sharing some really cool insights with you all. I know a lot of folks are so excited about machine learning, and a really cool tool that we're going to lean into today helps make that not only possible, but easier. Welcome to today's session. If you can, let me know where you are tuning in from. I'm super excited to see. I think I did see London. I saw New Zealand. I saw some other places as well, like Miami, Florida. So that is very, very exciting. Let's just jump into today's agenda. So we're first going to lean into just obviously highlighting what our learning outcomes are going to be for today. I want to make sure that we take time to highlight what machine learning is and how we're going to be leveraging that with image classification. We're going to lean into some real world examples, specifically like, how you can get started as early as today. And hopefully you'll be able to lean into other sustainable development solutions as well. The next thing that we're going to kind of lean into is data prep. So how does image classification work? What is image classification? How we want to collect and organize an image data set. And today we are going to use fruits. And how we want to prepare that data to train in CreateML as well. We want to train in this image classifier, but obviously we want to talk about how to set it up, how to import your specific data set. While you import, we want to make sure that you're able to train and show you how you can monitor progress. And then lastly, leaning into evaluating the model, ensuring that you have the accuracy that you're looking for. Last, we want to lean into other things, other ways that you can leverage and use image classification and design thinking. Hopefully we can lean into some other applications that you can do on your own as well, or maybe to expand projects that you're currently leaning in. And then live Q&A. So any and all questions, I want to let you know that I welcome. As you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat so that we can go back and revisit them. Lastly, we're going to lean into next steps. Again, how you can continue to improve and deploy models, resources for continuous learning, and share ways that you can not only follow myself, but also follow my incredible organization, Mentor Me Collective. And again, I just want to say thank you so much to Creator Fest for having me. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to share this stage with so many other incredible women, creating space, equitable space for others to not only lean in and learn, but also have opportunity to upskill. So that's something I'm super passionate about. Speaking of me, happy to share a little bit about myself. I know you're probably like, girl, you just jumped into the agenda. Absolutely. But I definitely want to take time to just talk a little bit about myself. I am a seasoned chemist and mathematician turned engineer. Again, I'm very passionate, not only about people, but also about the experiences that you all have the ability to sojourn through, right? And leaning into that, with trained model technologies, machine learning and artificial intelligence. In May 2020, I founded Mentor Me Collective, formerly known as Mentor Me Chanel at that time. But the goal of what we do, the mission of what we do is to continue to empower first generation technologists with knowledge, skills, and confidence to pursue passions, achieve dreams, and positively impact society, right? So we do that through mentorship programs, education programs. Now we're partnered with Grow with Google and Google Cloud. So if you're interested in that, completely free, feel free to go to our website and apply. And obviously through community as well. We have various community initiatives like this, and that's why I'm so excited to support Creator Fest and continue to support in any way that I can. Outside of that, Mentor Me Collective is super excited to be a space for various members across the globe, about 30,000 individuals. And I've been blessed to help facilitate the growth and expansion of, individuals in tech when it comes to making and securing careers. Normally, the talks that I do focus on that. So I'm so excited. This is my first time leaning into a technical talk. So I'm so excited to debut that with Creator Fest. Again, I'm super passionate about leaning into ways, avenues, strategies, and how we can continue to do our part to empower the community, empower the economy, but also developing, again, talent and increasing awareness around careers in tech. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me, and I'm so excited to be here. Outside of myself, you may or may not today, depending on how feisty she wants to be, see my cat. Her name is Glory. Somehow I found time to parent my little fur baby. I rescued her from Barks, Baltimore's animal rescue shelter in Maryland. Today is her 9th birthday, so excited about that. American, I should say human birthday, because I know there's cat years and human years, but anywho, staying focused. But her birthday's today. She was born with zero hearing, so she is a very special baby to me, but she also is the world's feistiest feline, y'all. She just got the energy. So if you have a fur baby as well, please drop a paw emoji or GIF in the chat. Would love to know what kind of fur baby you also have as well. So, learning outcomes for today. The goal is to make sure that you have space to understand image classification and machine learning basics. We want to make sure that you have the comfortability and feel empowered to build and train custom image classifiers as well. And then also leaning into how you can apply image recognition in real world projects. A lot of what we do, like I mentioned earlier, around sustainability and addressing the UN sustainable goals. So you can totally leverage technology like this to help as well. You probably heard of a lot of work with like maps and like just kind of reclaiming territories, or like just, for folks who may not know of like different areas in the world that, are there, you can kind of leverage that as well. Obviously, for folks who have various vision capabilities, you can obviously leverage technologies like this to help them. I'm not sure if you guys heard of these apps, but folks who have various vision abilities have the ability to leverage apps that help them with picking out clothes, or maybe even seeing items in front of them, right? So leveraging image classifiers or applications that have this technology is really important, and it's helping the world continue to go round. Okay, I have a freebie, I don't know, worksheet, glossary, data sets, all the things. So today I'm going to go through, all of these terms and just kind of guide you through, like, all the things regarding CreateML and image classification. But I know not everybody understands that, or maybe this is your first time hearing about it. So I think it's super important to make sure that we are all starting off together, okay, in the same vein. So please feel free to visit bit.ly/mmc-photos, or you can go ahead and scan this QR code. It will lead you to today's worksheet. The worksheet at the bottom of the worksheet will have the glossary. So all the terms that I will probably talk about that you may be like, what in the world is she talking about? Baby, is there for you. Okay, it's there for you. Hashtag we believe in education and making sure that everybody has, again, access to understanding what this is, hopefully so that you now have the technical prowess to communicate that with your colleagues, your friends, or even amongst family. Okay, so feel free to scan. Can I get a thumbs up for those of you who are able to access it? I just want to make sure that it is open and viewable for all to see. Let me get a thumbs up in the chat, a heart, some kind of emoji, heart, thumbs up. You got it, dude, something. Okay, amazing. Cool. All right, y'all. Machine learning and image classification. What is machine learning? And obviously, we hear a lot of individuals kind of leaning into it. So I don't want to be long winded, right? But basically, it's like, how do we teach computers to recognize patterns? And we do that by leveraging various kinds of data. It can be numbers, it can be images, it could be text, but we do that in that way, right? So traditionally, um, in the past, before machine learning was like honed, discovered, and like leveraged now, programs would write explicit instructions for computers to do, right? And that logic would lean into if else statements, loops, and obviously other algorithms as well. And the output would be strictly determined by those specific rules in code. Now, the cool thing about machine learning is that instead of writing specific rules, we can now train a model, train an algorithm using specific labeled data, right? Like fruit images is what, like, what we're going to use today. Um, the model specifically helps with learning these patterns, like again, data such as colors, patterns, shapes, textures, and the like. And then it helps us to make predictions on new unseen images without needing explicit programming rules, right? So it's almost like thinking about the unimagined, basically unimagined because we haven't told it what to do, but it's thinking about 5 steps, 10 steps, maybe 20 steps ahead. So now we can leverage technology like this to help us to think ahead, help us as developers to do more and, kind of efficient work as well. So as you probably have heard, we are very excited about this. The cool thing about machine learning versus traditional programming, there's a couple of things that differ and may also cause again, reason for folks to adopt specific technologies within machine learning. And it's because while traditional programming works really well for simple ruled tasks, it is hard to scale when it comes to complex specific tasks. So like recognizing different types of fruit. So yeah, I asked you to find a banana, but the banana may be in water, the banana may be in a forest, the banana may be in someone's hand, the banana may be under the table. So there's so many different variations of where this specific banana can be, and how we can still classify the specific banana as well. Obviously, that requires lighting conditions, angles, and other variations as well. But also, traditional programming requires that we are manually defining all of these other rules as well. So if we are defining like, hey, banana equals this, now we have to say banana equals this and this kind of lighting, or the banana equals this, but also this kind of angle. So it becomes like a lot of variables to have to handle and deal with. So that's why when we lean into machine learning, it helps us with being more flexible, helps us with being more scalable, and ultimately making things a little bit more accurate as well. Okay. So what is image classification? Right? So image classification, and you guys may see this also, you all may see this also in the glossary, but specifically it's just a technique that allows us or our computers to automatically recognize and categorize images. It also allows us to analyze specific patterns, again, color, texture, shapes as well, and then predicting which category this specific image goes to, right? So if I say, hey, this image is a fruit, we have so many different kinds of fruit, right? So the variations can come from shapes, right? A watermelon may be green, but a banana is yellow, even though both of them are fruit. So being able to recognize this and categorize what can be considered as banana, what could be considered as a cucumber. So even though banana, both has like one end and they both have like a specific end, bananas are a little curved, right? And cucumbers may also be curved in a different way, but most of the time we'll see them straight. So being able to think about how we can account for the variations is super cool. And you'll see this again in these, different kinds of examples, like with face recognition, medical diagnosis, self-driving cars for those who are in San Francisco or in California. I've been seeing y'all on TikTok, okay, with the Waymo. And then also even in e-commerce as well, like tagging specific products, images, maybe recognizing, locations, so many things like that, okay? So why would we want to use an app like CreateML, right? Like, why is this important? Why helping, you as a developer with your creation? And I will say, you do not have to have any knowledge, any deep AI knowledge of of AI statistics, probability, none of that, right? It already has models that are trained, and all you have to do is just boop, boop, a few clicks. You have the ability to drag and drop, and of course, upload manually as well. So, uploading your data sets and allowing CreateML to handle the training itself. You no longer have to create your own labs or training environments to do so. It does run locally on Mac. So, for those of you who have Mac, it is readily available to you. It is completely free. For those of you who do not, I'm sorry. But this is an exclusive Mac app. And then for those who, again, want to think about how can I leverage this in the mobile environment, in the any kind of digital environment, right, within Apple's ecosystem, iOS, watchOS, visionOS, tvOS, macOS, leveraging Core ML, you can do that. And then, of course, it's just fast and efficient as well. So all of this information I'm talking about, you can totally find on developer.apple.com. This is available to anyone and everyone to view. We also have, I believe we have videos from 2018 forward every year during our WW or during WWDC. You have the ability to learn about how our native apps are continuing to change and adapt to new technologies in the ecosystem. So there's a lot. Oh, hashtag NYC. Yes. Queens gets the money. For those of you who are from here. But anyway, moving along strong. So yeah, all these opportunities we now have. So let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. First, I really want to make sure that you all feel comfortable with what CreateML is and give you a brief introduction. So let's lean in. All right. So, like I mentioned earlier, CreateML is a macOS software development tool. It is something that is literally right it's interwoven with Xcode. So, if you were to do a search, tapping or holding command and space, you'll see a search bar pop up and you can type in CreateML. You probably didn't know it was there, but it's there. And you have the ability to start creating today. It does host a suite of ML templates, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But again, makes it super easy for you to train and deploy models with ease. It is designed to aid developers in the creation of custom ML models, and obviously possesses a really cool interface that makes it super easy. So minimal coding, just drag, drop, upload, click, clack, boom, bang, bop, and then we're moving along strong. Okay, cool. Let's lean in. So the core features of CreateML lies in 8 different spaces. So you'll notice that these specific templates are configured with specific model types, right? So what does that mean? It means that there's specific models that help simplify processes of training ML or machine learning training, I should say, on various data sets, right? So again, these templates are tailored for that specific type of machine learning problem. And then from there, you have the ability to easily train models by, making sure that you have a wonderfully cleaned data set that you can now leverage and use. So we have models for image models, video models, text models, object models, motion models, sound models, tabular data and tabular models as well with that. And then also spatial models, which is new. They just came up with spatial models, and I'm assuming because of visionOS, now you have the ability to think about spatial XR, AR, VR, functionality. So very exciting. And you all can feel free to lean into that. Yeah. So here is what it will look like. So once you do open up CreateML, the app, you're just going to go ahead and click like create a new document or create a new project, and then it's going to open up this window. Again, we have various, models or templates that you can leverage, and we're going to go into what these are just as an overview, right? We have image classification models. We're going to specifically use image classification, so the general one, but there are more specific image classifications. We also have video, right? Style transfer, action classification, hand action. So, you can think about creating, something that allows or a model that will train maybe to see like what is a smile versus a frown. And so like as you're, Maybe walking through the mall, you can have your phone open and just kind of scanning everyone. Well, that's kind of wild. We don't want to be putting people's business on the street. But anywho, let your creative expression follow you. You can also obviously leverage other AI, generative AI platforms like everyone is talking about ChatGPT or even Gemini, and you can feel free to lean into those and ask them, hey, what kind of projects can I create with I don't know action classification, and boom, there you have it. Okay, we have motion, activity classification, sound classification, text classification with word tagging, tabular classification. So that's anything with tables, right? Regression, things like that. And then spatial. So object tracking, which is super, super cool. If you are on Mac and you're looking for CreateML and you cannot find it, it's probably because you do not have Xcode downloaded. So you have to have Xcode downloaded on your computer. It is an app that is paired with Xcode. Okay. And unfortunately, I don't believe it is available for any device outside of an Apple device, like a MacBook or like a mini Mac, like any kind of Mac, I should say. Okay, cool. So let's lean into this. So again, what is image classification? And I want to make sure that you all are looking at our glossary. What does the glossary say? Place it in the chat. So I'm going to pause and wait to see if we are looking at this wonderful resource. And you have the information you need there too. So, what does the glossary say about image classification? Okay. Okay, come through. A machine learning task where a model is trained, yep, and recognized. Boom, 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 classify the dominant objects, or yes, love it. Love it, love it, love it. That's exactly what it is. And definitely want us to think about how we are going to leverage that as well, right? Like, how is it going to work? So we're going to see how that works. We're going to be working with fruit data sets today. We're going to teach our model to recognize apples, bananas, grapes, strawberries, and oranges. And we're going to test against fully positives. We're going to have some positives and maybe a negative, and then fully negative. Okay, and we'll talk about what that looks like as well. So first, you want to obviously collect and label images. You'll notice that in the data set in the Google Drive, we have this fruit classifier. So I'm just going to share my screen really quickly to make sure that you guys see this here. But you're going to see in the Creator Fest Unlocking Photos, we'll have a folder with all of our data sets, and then we'll have the worksheet here for the fruit classifier. Oh my gosh, it's not here. My heart just dropped. Okay, so let me just make sure that we have that. And that's why I was like, oh my gosh, I hope you guys have that. But okay, we will make sure that it is there. So give me one moment to make sure that you all have this in there. Want to make sure that I'm in the right place as well. Do you all see the drive? I want to make sure that you guys can see the drive. I know that I had to. Okay, you see the images. Okay, great. Okay, realize that I'm in the wrong. My apologies. I was in the wrong drive. But okay, data sets are here. Absolutely. So we have fruit classifier. The fruit classifier has all of our fruits. So we're going to go over like why I have it this way. But if you click on it, we have apples, bananas, grapes, oranges, and strawberries. And there are multiple photos of what that looks like here. Okay. Same thing for bananas, grapes, oranges, and strawberries here. Now, this is going to be our, how can you say, the data set that we are going to train with, right? So these are all true. Now, to test, you're going to notice that we have some labels here. Actually, I should rename this to test. So troubleshooting in the midst of everything, right? But you notice that we have all the fruits. So this should give me fully having 100% of accuracy. This here has all fruits, but there are no grapes in this data set. And then these are just tropical fruits. So have nothing to do with apples, blah, 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 right? I think we have, what else we have in here? Yeah, we got coconuts, jackfruit, kiwi, mango, and some watermelon. So none of these have to do with what we actually trained on. And we'll lean into what that looks like as well. But coming on back here, we want to, again, when you do it on your own, make sure that you collect and label your images well. Make sure that you obviously are training your training your model. We want to evaluate the model, and then we're going to deploy the model to the actual app. And again, all this does happen in Xcode. We'll create ML as its own app, and then we can deploy it directly in Xcode. How do we make good data sets? Again, balanced representation, high quality images, and making sure that you have at least 50 to 100 images. Now, today, we have about 30, I think, on average for each. So I didn't want to overkill, but you can feel free to leverage this as a basis. So if you want to do something like this at home, and just kind of troubleshoot on your own, you totally can. And add in those additional images. Okay. So again, we already talked about the fruits that we're going to lean into today. You have the ability to gather images from open data sets. So Google Open Images. If you have that API or package on your computer, you can totally leverage it in that way. Or you can just go to google.com, put in the image you want, honey, and open up, click on images, and boom. Right. You can obviously do Kaggle or ImageNet as well. You can create your own data sets too. So, maybe you're out for a walk at the park and you notice that there are different leaves, right? Different kinds of leaves on the ground. I know it's wintertime, so the leaves have, they done came and went. Okay, but maybe once the spring comes along, you can see more of those leaves in the trees, and or maybe, like I said, next fall, this coming fall, you can take pictures of different leaves on the ground, and then from there you can even label that as well. Okay. You can also do web scraping too, if that is something that you're interested in. But honestly, after having either your own personal photos or these open images, you probably don't even need to do that, to be honest, right? Hashtag soft life, right? Making life easier. But anyway, obviously we want to make sure that you organize your data set for CreateML. So you should have a parent folder called like your X data set. Mine is fruit data set. Then within that, you'll have folders for your specific fruit. So apples, bananas, grapes, oranges. Yours can be different, so on and so forth. And then obviously you want to make sure that the labels and the naming conventions are super correct. You also want to make sure that you're able to split training data versus validation. So validation, another way to say that is just test sets. So you see how I have the fruit, Lord, okay, yeah, fruit classifier, boom. And then I have all the other test sets, which is what? Test fruits all, test fruit no grapes, test tropical fruit, things like that. Okay. Let me get some thumbs up in the chat if we are still rocking and rolling. Are we still rocking and rolling with me? Okay. That is great. Want to make sure I'm not overwhelming you with information. All right. Cool. So what does this look like? How do we start? So again, I talked about earlier, opening up that project, naming. When you do open up that project, you have the ability to select which project you're going for. Of course, we're selecting image classifier, and then you want to name your project fruit classifier. So you can go ahead and do that. And then once you do that, you want to click next. Once you click next, it's going to ask you for your the folder that you want to store this in. So you should have a folder, like a project folder. You could name that image classifier or classifier, and CreateML project, whatever. And then in there, you should store your CreateML file that you're getting ready to create. And then you can click on create. So as you can see, this is my project. It's an image classification project. And then we have the fruit classifier here. And right underneath that one is model sources, right? That's the model we're getting ready to leverage and use. And you'll notice that it's asking us to begin to train. Okay. Now, before we get into training, right, it's super important for us to make sure that we know, again, where our data is. And then obviously we're going to lean into training. So just make sure that you always organize it in a really easy and simple way so that you don't get confused on like which data sets are which and so on and so forth. So you can drag and drop. I always just click the plus sign. It just might be because, what I'm saying, for back in my day, we ain't have no drag and drop. We just had a plus. But listen, don't don't let my bygones be your bygones. So move with your spirit. But anywho, you have the ability to lean into, again, dragging and dropping, adjusting the training settings. So that's down here below where it says parameters. And then obviously from there, you can start training and monitoring your progress. You'll notice that there's a play button in the upper, like almost upper left-hand corner on the black portion of the screen. And that specifically allows you to train super easy. I want to talk about what that looks like, right? So once you do train or upload, I should say, once you do upload your fruit data set, right? For you all, it'll probably be the fruit classifier itself. Then from there, you'll notice that it's going to ask you to now put testing data. So that's where you want to include the testing with fruits if you want to make sure that everything is going to be, like testing to make sure that everything is correct. Then you can test to make sure that, okay, let me see if they're going to tell me if, everything is here, but I don't have grapes. It should give you, right, like the 80% match. And then from there, there's no fruits. There are no fruits in your tropical fruit data set that match your fruit data set. From there, boom, you have the ability to, see that there are no direct matches. Okay. So just wanted to add bananas. Okay, we'll validate and lean into that. You are not dragging and dropping on folders, but I will come back to that question so that I could just make sure that we get through here. Great questions, though. You should, again, select one folder. So when you download the entire zip file, you're going to have 4 different data sets, right? You should only have the one data set. And let me just go back so I can because we're already here, so we might as well just talk about it. You only, for the first data set, you should be uploading this one. And honestly, we should even rename this to be fruit data set. Ooh. Lord, boom. Let's call it fruit data set because our model is being called the fruit classifier. So we don't want to be, mixing and matching. But anyway, this is the one that you should upload in this section. Okay. Now in the second section, this is again how we want to I don't want to say validate, but we can say test because since test is here. And again, every folder that's labeled test, you can use one of those folders here to be able to test to see if your model is working as expected or if there are issues here. Okay. Boom. I chose test fruits all, so all are present. So I should be getting 100% accuracy. And then I'm going to click open. And then from there, this is what screen you should see. Okay. Five items. I literally just have 5 folders, and in each folder, there's just one. As you can see, obviously we have 5 folders and there's a multitude of images here, but I just want to keep things simple, right? Hashtag keep it simple. Keep it simple. Cool. So then from there, you'll notice that we have some parameters, and that's actually what I want to talk about today because that also can help with making sure that your model is being trained correctly or can be overtrained. And we'll talk about that. So for these specific parameters here, we have feature extractor, model availability, iterations, and augmentations. And I definitely want to make sure that we discuss like why these are important. So specifically when we think about setting our parameters, right? Feature extraction, that's like our core model. So this is a pre-trained model that's already learned to recognize a wide variety of visual features. And instead of training a model from scratch, we are leveraging this because it already has existing knowledge. Now, outside of this, you'll notice that we have the wording underneath it, right? It says image feature print version 1. This is letting us know what kind of images it's resizing all images to be. So all images will be resized to 299 by 299. And then from there, you have the ability to, or it will convert them to 2048 number. So basically like a image key for like visual characteristics. So this classifier learns from this embedded data, not the raw pixels, okay? And that just might be more information than necessary. I just wanted to explain it, but don't be confused about this. At this point, we're just selecting version 1 and version 2. This space here is model availability. So for version 1, it's going to allow you to do earlier versions. Version 2 is going to allow you to do more recent versions. So again, you may be required for a specific kind of OS. And when I say OS, I mean like, we had Catalina, we had Big Sur, all those different OS versions. You may need a specific version for your computer. Your computer must be on a specific version in order for you to be able to train on these specific models. So just, FYI, there may be an expectation for newer features for you to be able to have extracted, but again, no big deal. It probably won't populate, or probably will be grayed out. It's only grayed out here because I was already playing with it, but yours should be selectable. So if it's selectable, you should be able to see that there too. Cool. Iteration, super, super exciting and super important. So this represents the number of times like your model is going to be training, right? So the number of times that the training process will go through the entire data set. This specific iteration, or term I should say, is known as the epoch. And during each iteration, the model refines its understanding of the data to improve the classification's accuracy. So you can increase it, you can decrease it. There is opportunity maybe for you to overfit it. So we'll talk about what that looks like already. And overfitting is in the glossary, so you can feel free to leverage that as well. But you may not want to have it go through too many iterations. But again, as you're testing, you'll know what your sweet spot is. The preset value though is 25. So next is augmentations. So augmentations basically artificially expands our data set, right? The way that we do that is by adding slightly modified versions of our existed images. So if we had a super clear apple, just boom, by itself, a nice, beautiful, clear picture of an apple. Maybe it was on like this table, very white table. Lighting is perfect, texture is perfect, everything. But let's say there's so many other versions or photos of apples that may not be as perfect. You have the ability to add noise, right? You can add a blur, you can add crops, you can add expose, you can add a flip, you can make it rotate, so that now you don't only have one perfect image of an apple, you now have 6 more versions of what that one apple could look like. And that's what allows us to lean into that, okay? So it basically helps prevent overfitting, but does make the model more robust to variations in real world images. Okay. Now, again, like I said, you can set these parameters. So whether you want to add noise, you want to blur, you want to crop, expose, flip, or rotate, this is what it will basically apply to that one image, and almost like creating a subfolder of that specific image as well. Cool. And if this looks small, probably you may be viewing on your phone or maybe on a smaller device, you can feel free to expand the screen as much as possible, or like someone in the chat mentioned, you can kind of zoom in as well. So I noticed that there were some comments that you can't see. I hope you're able to see a little bit better now. Cool. All right. So once we have set all of our parameters, I didn't choose any parameters because I just wanted to make sure that at least by itself is working. But maybe you want to play around with it. I encourage you to do that. You can go ahead and now train your model. And when you do, you'll notice in the next tab here that it begins to train, and it will tell you the training accuracy and the validation. So those are the numbers we want to see. Those are the numbers we want to see. Those are the numbers we want to see. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to lean into that. And then after we train, we want to evaluate. So we want to evaluate to make sure, how can I ensure that the expectations that I had for it to be 100% really is true? And you'll notice that if you click on evaluation, you'll be able to kind of see that here. So again, with testing all fruits, right? That's our super positive data set. We do see 100% match. So it tells us that all are correct, right? 100%. 5, which are the 5 categories that we had, are correct. And you'll notice that there's a count here for the count of apples, bananas, grapes, oranges, strawberries, and also how many are correct. If there were false positives, it will be here. If there were false negatives, it will be here. And then remember, we talked about Oh, we didn't talk about it yet. We're going to talk about it now. Precision and recall. So if you scroll over, I did not capture that. I probably should have actually. There's two columns that are there. It should be precision and recall. Precision is if you point at, like, let's say 10 pieces of fruit and you say, hey, these are apples. Precision tells you how many of those 10 are really actually apples. So if I'm telling the computer or this model basically, like, hey, this is an apple, this is a banana, this is a strawberry, blah, 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 it's going to tell me how precise my accusations or my labels really are. And I believe this right here should all say 100. Right now we only see like a 1 in the curve of a 0. But y'all, when you do it on your own, let me know, okay, how it looks for you. Definitely. And my apologies, I probably should have added that additional space there. Okay. So ultimately, precision is how often are you right when you make a positive claim. So I'm telling, again, from the data set, test fruits all. I know that all of these should be 100%. But again, precision is telling me, is your data set actually precise, right? Is it actually true? And clearly it is. We have, again, the total accuracy and the correct, and 5 correct. However, recall is on the other opposite end. So, like, out of all the apples that are actually in this basket, recall is letting us know how many we managed to actually find and correctly identify. So, precision, how like, what's the percentage of these items that are precise? Recall tells us actually how many are the ones that are precise. So I already knew that the test data only had one apple, one banana, one grape, one orange, and one strawberry. So we should see for recall the values. One image of apples was 100% precise. One image for bananas was 100% precise, and so on and so forth. Okay. So basically, it's about how good we are about finding out if these for in our case it's fruit, but in your case it may be something else. Okay, how accurate and precise it is. You do have the ability to continue testing. All right, so to see from our 80% positive, 1 or 20% false, and that will be our test fruit, but no grapes are present. We switch grapes for pineapple, and then for our other data set, which is test tropical fruit, we know that there should be no accuracies there at all, at all. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. And the way that you do that is by adding or tapping on the plus new test, and that's how you can upload these specific data sets. Okay. And you'll notice again, I just want to kind of go over like what kind of views you should see. So it's going to tell us how many images are in each of these from our food set, right? Food set is what we're training against. The test sets are what we're testing to see how accurate our training sets are. Okay. So again, we have our apples, bananas, grapes, oranges, and strawberries. It's going to tell us how many images are in those folders. So you'll notice some have way more than others. And again, we see the precision, we see the recall, and we see the F1 score. So we no longer have to be statistics majors to understand what in the world these people is talking about. Baby, it's all here, simple. Okay. From there, we want to see the validation, and this is how you'll be able to see the validation as well. You notice that validation and training is maybe some variation, but again, you have the ability to see that. You'll see that the counts are different. So originally when we trained, we see the counts here being 16, 27, 31, 24, and 27. But for validation, we see the counts being a little different, right? Actually, very, very different. So 2, 3, 4, 3, 3. All right. And then for testing, you'll see that we have another kind of viewpoint. So again, that was the one-to-one. So I'm testing with the fruits, all fruits. And again, I already knew I only had 5 folders, and in each folder there was one image for that specific label. Okay. Now I did upload and wanted to test our tropical fruit. As you can see, oops, sorry, my Lord. Okay, here we are. We're back. For the 5 classes, the 5 folders with 5 items, 1 item in each folder, I see I have 0% accuracy. Now that is expected because none of these fruits in here are apples, bananas, strawberries, grapes, or oranges, right? However, in the test fruits, but there are no grapes here, we had apples, apples, bananas, oranges, strawberries, and then we have pineapple. So it tells us that four are correct and accurate, but there are no grapes present, which we already knew. We knew that there weren't going to be any grapes there, right? So super, super, super important. Now, what does that look like when it comes to exporting said data or said model? You have the ability to do that right here. So you can either download the model directly into your file wherever you have your CreateML project, or you can just Xcode it directly into Xcode. And why would one or the other be important? If you're working in a collaborative environment, but let's say you don't want to mess up any remote code that you and your partner may be working on, you have the ability to download it and then kind of send that to your collaborative partner in that way where they can test on their local device instead of kind of incorporating it into your remote repo to kind of leverage. So this is a safer way to do it. And then for you, an easy way for you to just make sure that it goes directly into um, your local environment, you can go ahead and click on Xcode and it will directly open up an Xcode window, ask you what project you want to apply that on. And then from there, kind of go from that as well. Okay, so when you click on output, you should see these icons in the upper right hand corner. And that is how you'll be able to export and use the model. So I definitely wanted to ask you all some questions and get your thoughts, right? Like when it comes to how we can um, think about this in a creative way or thinking about ideation, like how could this be maybe used in a hackathon? Let's say, for this wonderful platform has hackathons. How could an image classifier help? Let's say we are trying to think what would be cool. Let's say we're leaning into like creating projects around sustainable development in communities. How could a image classifier help um, us solve those kinds of problems when it comes to development or even gentrification, right? Like, how can we leverage a model like this to propose a solution in a hackathon? So I'm gonna take some time to see what the chat says. Okay. Kat says maybe information on a product, like I think of a food app. Okay, called Fig. Love that. Can scan food to tell you any allergens. I love that. Absolutely. Thinking about localizing defect parts. Yep, defective parts in industries. Absolutely, absolutely. So like even like when people go, like when they have like I don't know, an appraisal being done on a home, right? Like this is definitely something that can help maybe with taking pictures on the outside of the home, maybe classifying like what kind of images each photo is for. Maybe, this could be a way that Zillow could even improve their app experience for folks leveraging that platform for uploading images. Maybe they already have that too, because child, I don't know what they're doing on the back end because I haven't been uploading on your houses. But anyway, as you can see, there's various opportunities for us to lean into that. So excellent, excellent, excellent. Awesome. Okay, great. So I just mentioned that they were building a product for a hackathon and they were building an image classifier that scans mammograms to identify breast cancer. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool that you all said that because that's actually in the next slide as well, right? How can we implement or this kind of technology in applications? Grocery scanning app for quick price lookup, smart kitchen assistant, like suggesting recipes based upon available fruit, maybe diet tracking as well, educational AR app For kids who want to learn about fruit varieties, I'm just saying fruits because that's what I was using, but the opportunities are endless. And now that we have awesome platforms again like Gemini and even ChatGPT, we can leverage that to see how we can apply this technology to create more sustainable development holistically. All right. So I wonder if you know, or if you did know, did not know, maybe you did. Developers using CreateML for image classification reported a speed improvement of up to 50 times faster model training compared to tra- compared to traditional models. And so this was actually directly taken from the Apple's developer documentation on developers.apple.com. But how exciting is this? And can this continue to be as we like move forward, right? So just want to encourage you again to leverage this if you have the access to do so. Now, what does this look like for, I don't know, further learning? What other resources can you lean into? And I definitely want to say lean into Apple's machine learning documentation and resources. Anything and everything that you are looking to learn more about, especially when it comes to our ecosystem and how developers can, continue to really create awesome apps, right? Not just apps, but just I guess anything with our software technology you can leverage and use, and that obviously is going to come from um, Apple or developer.apple.com. So feel free to lean into that. You can search for Apple's Create ML guide. You can also leverage our or Apple's Core ML framework, so Core ML and also Vision framework as well as here. Also, when it comes to next steps in general, obviously I'm going to be a champion of you developing your own projects, but and obviously also developing your own data sets. But feel free to add more training data to the data set that I provided in our our take home, and then also on top of that, you all have the ability to use transfer learning for better results as well. So just wanted to be a champion of both of those things as well. So it's Q&A time. It's Q&A time. I'm so excited. I see that we have a good amount of questions that have come through. So definitely want to get into those as well. Feel free to place all of the questions that you guys have in the chat or you all have in the chat. And oh, yes, thank you, madam. She's going to help me, right? We're going to help me.
Of course.
Thank
All right.
you.
So I just wanted to make sure that we kind of got these, just so everyone knows, in the side panel to your left-hand side where the chat is, there's like two tabs over and you'll see a Q&A section. So that's kind of where we're looking at right now, just so you have an idea of what we're all looking at the same time. So I would say the biggest question that everyone had is where the slide's going to be available so they can follow along with the steps.
Okay, I will have a version available. I normally don't post my direct slides, but I can. I can create a version of it so that it's just really pointed and direct, and it directly kind of leans into what you all need. So yeah.
Yeah, and then we can share that all with you guys. So, of course, you'll have the recording available too. So we'll be able to use both of those resources to make sure that you guys can really check out this CreateML product because it's really cool. Um, the next question we have is, I get an unexpected error at Bananas, and they had testing data was also disabled for them once they got that error. Does that
Okay.
sound common?
Yes, that is something that can happen. Um, and testing data is disabled for me. Okay, cool. That may come about if you are importing the whole set. So you may be having an issue with importing like that specific small data set. So one, I want to know: are you importing the testing? Are you importing the training? And if you are importing the testing, is it the all fruits or is it just no grapes? From there I'll be able to troubleshoot, but it depends on like what sets you're actually uploading and in which sections. Testing, I'm sorry, validating, training, sorry, or testing.
And that was from Raya in the chat. So if you have further thoughts on that, just like follow up and let us know.
Mhm.
Not to skip around, but she also had a question. She said that her and then MM, they ran into the same error at the same time, missing data for label. And then it was like label 2 specifically, test fruits all, detain list of labels missing files, 2 dot test fruits all. three dot test fruits, no grapes, and then one fruit data set.
Okay, cool. Um, I'm curious to see what their environment looks like. I'm wondering again if one, where are you placing this? Where are you trying to upload these data sets? Because it sounds like you're uploading the entire file, like the parent folder that has all of these, instead of the actual child. I shouldn't say child's data set, but like they have the parent folder, and then you have the other folders that live in it. You should only be uploading like the single file that lives in the parent file, not the entire parent file. That's why that error is coming up.
Raya said she imported the fruit classifier
You imported fruit classifier to what? To the training?
to
The,
training. Hmm.
the training. Okay. And then the error came up as I'm looking for. Oh, I don't know where the question went. It was in the Q&A section. I don't know where it went. So
I
the
can bring
error there was like there was a problem with bananas.
It's in the chat. I just brought it up in the. I had moved it over there, but
Okay.
it is in the chat. So the original question was, she got an error at bananas, and then she got the missing data label for oranges. Detailed list of labels missing. It said oranges, bananas, strawberries, grapes, and then there was the other one that said they had a missing data label for two test fruits all. Detailed list of labels missing files. Two
Okay.
dot test fruits all. Three dot test fruits no grapes, and then one dot fruit data set.
Okay. If you're available, you both are available after this. We can hop on a call real quick. Because I mean I literally just used all of this today just to make sure that it all works. So I think it may be the way that you're leveraging it on your device. It also could be a software issue. You may not be on the latest software version for that training data as well when it comes to parameters. So we'll troubleshoot afterwards. I don't want to take I'm saying that to say because it might be a longer explanation for it, and I don't want to take away time from other folks.
No worries. And we actually can do that inside of Remo. So if we want to circle back and you can jump over to their table, we can look at it a little bit closer. There are a few other questions we want to get through, and depending on how much time we have, then we can circle back. So the next question we have is, how much coding experience is required to make good use of image classifiers, and in what areas apart from standard steps?
Yeah, so this is a completely no code necessary application. So you don't really even have to have a boatload of experience. Obviously, this is an app that is helping. It's supposed to be supplemental to your coding project that you may be doing, like in Xcode already. So I want to say for obviously for Xcode, obviously that's going to be like depending on where you are. You could be intermediate, you could be beginner friendly, and you're just like just tinkering around. So I want to say that this is an application that anybody can leverage and use. You don't necessarily even in general don't even have to have coding experience to develop apps these days. You can go into Gemini, like I said, ask it to give you code for a specific project and leverage that, right? So like I want to encourage you to take a step forward and maybe spread your wings a bit. I know it might be a little nerve wracking, but you can start at any point.
Thanks, Deepa, for that question. And that was a great answer. I appreciate that. We're definitely here to encourage each other, guys. So if we continue this question also in the Discord, we'll be able to share those resources in there too. So just keep a lookout in the Discord. The next question is a question for the very end, but
Mhm.
from Chanel's point of view, what is her point of view on the new Apple iOS with AI? I've been delaying that upgrade because I do not feel uncomfortable. I think maybe means like she doesn't feel comfortable. Apple is using her data to train AI.
Okay. I don't know how to answer the specific question because I believe I understand the uncomfortability. But remember, like you have the ability to say yay or nay. We believe in your privacy, right? Apple believes in your privacy, and I'm not even here to speak on behalf of Apple. So I really want to refrain from answering that question here. But I encourage anyone, to lean into your own personal convictions. If you feel uncomfortable in general, then maybe don't do it. But yeah,
I would
holistically.
also, I would also say listen to your gut. But
Mm,
read those terms and conditions, guys.
mhm,
Because all the information that you need is right there. I know they can be lengthy, they can be hefty. If you want a little help, maybe one of the benefits of generative AI
mhm.
is to share the terms and conditions with generative AI, and then ask it, the questions that you may have. If you may not have the capacity to read through all of that, because I know they're very long, but read those T's and C's, guys. Please do. We can move on to the next question. Thank you for that. Did the 100% work out from the evaluation because of the quality of the images? And what reasons would it not be at 100%?
This is a really good question. So I want to. So let me say this: the quality of the images do not matter, right? And I say that because I mean, yes and no. I want to say it's not a full like yes that it matters because remember with the parameters, you have the ability to create your own issues, if you will, or variations of that specific image, right? So in parameters, we had adding noise, blur, expose, like meaning you could change the lighting, you could change the background, you can change the quality of the image, and then from there, it's still allowing your model to train. I will say what could cause there not to be 100% if your data set is not properly labeled. So again, you might have noticed in the data set with like for instance, I had no grapes. I had like everything kind of labeled as or the first four labeled as what it's supposed to be: apples, bananas, oranges, blah blah blah. But then I had pineapples. So that's one way that it's going to know, oh okay, then there's definitely no grapes here. Another way that you can do it, you can have grapes as the folder, but maybe you can actually have an image of a pineapple in it. So it still is not going to tell you that it's now precise or that there's any kind of recall there as well, right? So you can train it, or how can I say, you can see variations of accuracy based upon if you are labeling like the folders correctly. That's one. But if you want to make sure that it truly is correct, you can do almost like false negative or false positive, like creating your own scenario, and that can be having the correct folder labeled as grapes, but maybe having images of pineapples and anything else really in there. And then from there, seeing like, is it really going to tell me that it's not that? And then from there, you'll be able to see the variations.
That was a great question.
Hmm.
We now have another question. I think your meaning with this question, does the model built by CreateML, is it deployed? And is it compatible across different iOS operating systems? I think you probably mean iOS devices or like Mac devices ecosystem, probably
So
most likely.
that's a good question. I believe it's more so like I think it is the operating system. So like we have 16 point this, 17 point this, blah blah blah, whatever. So I'm assuming that you mean from that iOS perspective, and if that is the case, again, when I was, let me go back actually really quickly. Actually, I'm gonna stop sharing and then I'll reshare. But there was there was a parameter. Trying to find it. Okay. There was a parameter and it was called feature extractor. Version image feature print version 1, image feature print version 2. The one that I had on my screen, which I'm going to share now, was version 1. And cool. Here,
Oh, is that just me? Oh, it's not just you. It's not just you. I think she might have a connection issue. We will give her a few seconds to catch up. It might be a bandwidth thing because we are doing a lot. Um, I see one question in here that I can answer myself just in the meantime. Oh, we okay. Hopefully she can jump back in. I see one question in here I can answer myself. Will there be the slide deck and the video from this session available after? Where will it be? It will be available via our email. We'll send out an email after the session is over, probably like sometime this evening once we get that uploaded. We'll share you the link with you, and then you'll also be able to find that inside of our Discord community. You'll see the link for that in the chat, like at the beginning of the session. So just scroll to the top, so that I can help with. When she's saying label, you literally mean like the name you give the JPEG, correct? And then the last person asked, what is the final result once you complete this? Like, what does this visually look like in the final stage, or is it more ML being implemented in an existing system? That is a great question. And I would absolutely have Chanel share that. I'm thinking that if we give her a second, by the time I kind of like look through the chat and see if there's anything else over there, we'll be able to potentially get her back. If not, maybe we can grab some resources from her before the email goes out later this evening. And then I will be able to share that resource with you to kind of get an idea if she has like another technical demo of what that all looks like. What I can also do for you guys is, because I see someone asked about it, just as we're trying to see if we can potentially get Chanel back, I would like to, one, thank you for joining us today. Two, share our survey. I know she's having some potential network troubles right now, but that's totally okay. This was an amazing workshop, and I'm really, really glad we were able to bring her on and be able to support Mentor Me Collective in that manner. If you could please share your feedback with us on the session, how much you liked it, how much you enjoyed Chanel. I'm sure she would love to get that feedback too, so that we can continue to organize technical workshop like this for you guys. I know that they're, oh, okay, wonderful. We got you back. All right, we were just sharing the feedback survey to see if we might be able to get you to jump back in. So we have one last question that I wanted to share with you because I think that this might be something that you would really be able to answer well. What is the final result once you complete this? Like, what does this visually look like in the final stage, or is it more ML being implemented in an existing system?
That's a great question. So basically, when you click to export it into your Xcode, it will act as like a .m and a .h file. So it's basically like a method or a function that you can now call, like an algorithm that you can now call, and the expected behavior that you're looking for it to do, it will do that. So if I personally created like again an app right for the grocery store, and I said, hey, I want to know because let's say someone who's visually impaired wants to be able to go to the grocery store and know like, hey, what is a good piece of fruit versus what's not a good piece of fruit because I can't see for my own self. Now that I have this image classifier and I have deployed this model to be embedded in my Xcode, I now can obviously run the code, deploy that app onto my device, and now, assuming that let's say I don't know, this individual aims it at fruit, it should be able to tell her what a good piece of fruit is versus a bad piece, what looks spoiled, like it could speak to her or him, they, the person, and then from there let them know. So I guess the way to answer this question is it's literally just deploying the algorithm or the function that you would need to use in order to have that machine learning functionality in your parent code, right, for your app that you may be developing.
Awesome. So I hope to see a lot of you guys who want to, integrate and call this functionality into you guys' projects. We have our Idea-thon coming up at the end of this month. It's going to start on February 28th. So we're trying to give you so many more workshops that are going to get those ideation juices flowing to get you guys prepared to pitch us something or to come up and work together, figure out who you want to work with, figure out who you want on your team, get together and kind of like come up with what you want to build, how you want to impact your community, how you want to impact the industry itself. And then also be prepared to build out that back end, which is what we're going to do during the hackathon afterwards. So I dropped a few links in the chat for you guys to give us more feedback on this so we can bring you more workshops like this. You can follow along with our schedule using the calendar that I shared, and you can also join us and jump in our Discord if you want to continue this conversation. You can register if you have not yet for the hackathon, for the Idea-thon that are coming up, also for the Learn-a-thon to continue learning with us at createherfest.com. And I will also pass it to Chanel for any last thoughts.
Absolutely. I still have some time, so I'll just hop at a table and help with troubleshooting. I also want to say feel free to, follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. You can follow Mentor Me Collective as well. And yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say. I'm excited. I want to say too, like, please leverage the worksheet and the glossary because it is going to, in a very detailed way, I'll highlight what we discussed today. And then if you were viewing on your phone and it was small, feel free to watch the replay on the wonderful Creator Fest YouTube channel. And you'll be able to see it on a larger screen, whether you want to do it on your smart TV or on your computer or on your tablet. You should be able to view it there too.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jamel. And thank you guys all for joining us. We're going to hang out a little bit after this session. So if you want to hang back and talk a little more or troubleshoot, you're welcome to. But after that, you guys have a great rest of your Friday Junior. Bye, guys. See you soon.